Oh, let's start it off. I want to first introduce everyone. I'm Ty Gowan. I'm an investigator on the Haunt Me. Shying away in the corner is our producer, Nick Nordforce. There he goes. Round of applause.
Yeah, this could not happen.
Lars Kearney. He's a tech guy.
He's also running the con, so he's
He's a lead now. Ashley Brooks is the leader of this. She's the brainchild behind it. She made everything come from a dream to a reality. So a round of applause. Sean Rohr, he is one of our investigators, and so is Katie Webb. They help us out on every investigation.
two other members that couldn't be here today.
Yep, we have Carol Cleveland and Caitlin Weichel. They are both part of our team, extraordinary members, and they just were unfortunately not able to make it today. But you got four of us. So let's start it off, everyone. Ash, what is Haunt Me?
Haunt Me is a new main web series, and for those of you who don't know what a web series is, it's basically a TV show that airs online. It's really the main goal of the web series is to be able to have easy access to it. Online seems to be the best way to do that nowadays, and it's pretty much like a TV show in every way, except it's usually web series are usually a little bit shorter in their episodes, whereas a TV show would be 30 to 40 minutes. Web series usually run 10 to 20 minutes.
And the special announcement was made yesterday. Haunt Me will be featured on the Entertainment Experiment, which is a great network for local main web series. So if you want to know more about that, Ash, you want to talk?
Yep, the Entertainment Experiment was founded by Barry Dodd and Karen Dodd and Amy Marzin, and it's a new network that's sort of focusing on creative name filmmakers, web series creators, web comics. It's just a place to put all of the creative things that are coming out of Maine right now. And we're lucky enough to be one of the web series that's going to be premiering on that network. It's going to be available online in a couple weeks, so this is sort of a sneak peek at our first episode before it goes online. So
right, you guys get the special premiere because it won't be available for anyone else until the network goes live.
Right.
So that's why hopefully you guys are all excited to be here today.
Right. So Haunt Me is a paranormal investigation web series. I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, have seen at least one paranormal investigation TV
Hands
show.
up, we've seen some some ghost shows.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State, there's a lot of them. Ours is unique in that it's a web series and that it takes place entirely in Maine. Maine is rich in history, it's rich in spooky stories, urban legends, weird stuff. There's lots of that going on here, so we decided since we're all Mainers, why not just focus on that? No one has done that yet.
So who here's got some ghost stories that, maybe brought you into this room? Let's see some hands.
I mean, you don't have to share them.
Yeah, don't need to share them. I just want to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people here have been
And I'm sure you might have heard something from someone else, even if you haven't had an experience. And our goal is just to sort of open that up so that people can feel more comfortable talking about those experiences, not feel like they're crazy or weird, and we just wanted it to be more known.
So Ash, as far as evidence goes and stuff like that, what sets Haunt Me aside specifically? I know there's a rating system and stuff like that.
Yep. Well, I mean, a lot of ghost shows that you might watch, there's, they will gather evidence and you might see some of it, but there's really no real way to judge it against other places that they go to. So we really wanted to create a rating system so that we could differentiate each episode from one another. So basically, if we go to a place and give it a rating, our rating system is from 1 to 10. 1 being the least haunted, 10 being the most haunted. We'll explain that a little more in the episode. So that way, if a haunt merited a 3 rating, it would be less haunted than one that merited an 8. And that way, we're sort of providing a service for the people that we're investigating for. Like, here's how your place stacks up against some of the others.
So any other investigators out there who want to go follow our footsteps, you also know, hey, am I going to get possessed here? Yes or no? It's good to know before you go in. So I guess with that, what do you guys say we watch the episode?
We can talk some more, you guys can ask some
We'll have
questions.
some question and answer periods after, but I really hope you guys enjoy what you're about to see.
Do you want me to introduce the the episode?
Introduce the episode, give the backstory when, you know, it all
Okay,
started.
so this started in January of this year, and we decided to set out and start investigating. And this was our first episode, so we sort of formed the group, and we decided to go on a training mission. And we went to one of our investigators' houses in Wyndham, Maine to do that, and this is the episode.
Another round of applause. So what do you guys think for the first episode? Only better from here too.
Yeah.
So, I guess what we could do now is we'll probably ask our group a few questions, and we'll open it up to the floor for all you guys. So hold on to your questions for just one moment. But my question to the group, specifically Katie and Ash, why did you guys join me?
I had never done any official ghost hunting before, but I went to college in Comicon for a year, and I had a friend that we went on a little ghost hunt, and I took a couple of photos, and I had people in abandoned windows, and just
Give you a taste
yeah,
for it.
that was the end. Yeah.
Well, I know that Ty and Carol both came from a Maine team, a Maine investigation team, and so I went with them on one of the investigations. We went to a place called the Bridgewater Triangle, which is in Massachusetts. It's sort of a triangular point of land where just a bunch of activity happens. And so we went to this woods that was like a burial ground. There was also this cultist shack or something that we went to. So
Pet cemetery.
there was a lot of stuff going on, and that sort of
happy place.
no. So that sort of got me interested in it. And I mean, I had always been interested in this stuff to begin with, but I know that Ty came from that background, which really helped.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't know what did. I think probably watching Ghost Hunters on TV when I was bored in high school set me off, and I was just like, hey, I want to do that too. So after I graduated, I just looked up paranormal groups in the area, and I joined up with this one group called Prime, and that's where I met Carol. And we had some of the most amazing adventures and horrifying experiences there. I know particularly one that Ash likes is we went to Waverly Hills, Kentucky. Has anyone heard about that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a tuberculosis sanatorium in which it's probably one of the most grisly hospitals in the United States. It ranks consistently #1 on the most haunted list of North America.
I wanted to ask, how easy was it to get in there? Because that's been a place I've always wanted to visit myself.
Surprisingly, we came from a reputable group, and so all it took was a couple phone calls, and then we got the entire night to ourselves.
Wow.
So we secured 8 hours in there, and I'll bore you guys the details, but I left different than I went in. It is literally the most terrifying place I've ever been in my entire life, and it's hard to pretend that, you know, stuff like this doesn't exist when you spend 8 hours in the dark where over 5,000 people died. That's why I did it.
Yeah. I know that, I forgot what I was going to say. After going to Carol's house, we tried to go to more historically sort of relevant places in Maine. So we started going to places that you guys could potentially even visit. Because, I mean, that's a residence, so that would be hard to do. But, I mean, maybe Carol's mom would invite you all. But we went to the Biddeford Mills. We went to the Main Street Grill in Standish, which is a restaurant and bar. The Irish Heritage Center on State Street in Portland. There were a number of notable Maine places that we're trying to go to.
Which is why we assigned the rating system, because we wanted to make this so interactive. So after we go, you guys can see what will happen to us. You guys can go experience it yourself, and maybe have an idea of what's going to happen here and there.
Right.
And then I guess my next question for you, Ash, is how has this changed since you started it?
How has it changed?
Yeah, your idea initially when you started this, what to where it is now, what have you seen happen?
Well, I think that my idea of the paranormal has changed a lot. I sort of went into this being the type of person that's like, oh, you know, really scared of everything that I went into, and now it's not really like that. It kind of takes more for me to be like, okay, this place is haunted. I would say I've become more skeptical because people tell you a lot of stories, and then to really find the evidence to convince you guys you know, I started thinking about it like, okay, if I feel, like in that first episode, I'm like, I feel cold. I don't really do that anymore because I mean, it's not like you guys are gonna understand what I'm saying, and it sounds like I could be making it up. So the type of evidence I look for now is stuff that's really concrete, so when it does happen, there's really no, you know, debating it.
Like, getting a chill or having a feeling is a lot less awesome than a mirror falling off the wall when you ask
Right.
it to.
Which is not to say that, I mean, those things don't happen and that we don't mention them at all, but I mean, we're trying harder to get actual evidence.
Right, it's easier to share something that you guys can see, but we also don't discount our own feelings, because there's a lot of instances for me when, you know, when your gut tells you not to be in a room anymore, you should probably not be standing in the dark in the room anymore.
Which, yeah, we take that into account, it just is lower on the rating scale is all. And, yeah.
While we open up for questions from other people, do you guys have anything you'd like to ask?
Ash, so how do you, I don't know, how many have you done so far?
We have done 6 investigations, the first season is completely done at this point.
Are you hoping, now when people watch it, will suggest places that, or
Yes.
is that what you're hoping for the
I mean, that's
future?
already started happening, we already have 2 in mind for season 2. We had to do a lot of work the first season because people didn't know who we were. It's like Ty says, when you're a group that people have heard of, it's easier because people come to you with their stories and their suggestions, and we're very open to that.
Yeah, we'd love to have your ghost stories.
Yeah.
Sir?
Of your 6 episodes, did you get how many episodes that rated higher than 3.5 out of 5 in terms of your findings?
I think our highest one rated was 7.
There was an incident.
Yeah,
We'll just-
and we try to round down because when something really big happens, we want it to be really,
Blood room.
yeah, right? We don't want to throw them willy-nilly away because we want it to be, you know, actually
Accurate.
Yes.
Like, we don't, just because it was our biggest experience, it might not be the biggest experience. So, I mean, at least for me, I've been able to weigh down the rating a little bit based on my times at Waverly Hills and Fort Mifflin and the Bridgewater Triangle. I know what closer to an 8 or a 9 might feel like.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think our rating system's pretty accurate then on, so when you guys see the 7, you'll understand why, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If you're, let's say you're doing an investigation, which is hypothetical, and you're thinking to yourself, it's like a 4 or 5, then it just turned to a 10. All right, let's do it.
Well,
Okay, great, so are you prepared for that?
Are we prepared for a 10?
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of the season, if I'm gonna be honest, at the beginning of the season, at the episode you guys saw, I would say no. After working with these talented individuals over the course of the past year, I would say hell yeah, bring it on.
I mean, we try our best now to not go into places expecting one thing or another. Even if somebody tells me this has happened to me, I was pushed down the stairs, I almost died. You don't go in thinking that's going to happen to you because you're going to be disappointed if it doesn't. And if you go in thinking, I mean, I'm not saying, you know.
I would be.
You know what I mean? You're going to be disappointed if things like that don't occur. Because there's one episode in particular where not much happens. And we all had really high expectations for that one.
Based on the story.
We watch a lot of Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. There's never an episode where someone doesn't like get scratched, you know, or something like that. That doesn't really happen in the real world. I'm not just saying that that's fake or anything, but just that sometimes you're not going to get nothing. And this show is more about our journey and debunking things. If there isn't anything, we're not going to make stuff up, you know.
Exactly, I think that hones a source of realism for our show. Scientific approach, you're not gonna be able to spend one night in a place and, you know, get someone falling into a bathtub full of blood after they're looking for their child on TV. I mean, that's poltergeist.
Yeah.
So, we'll come close, and if we do get that, we promise to censor anything out that's too terrible for you guys to watch. But,
What's the
besides,
length of time you stay in the place?
What was that?
What's the average length of time that you stay anywhere?
Well, in that first episode, it was January. You could see it was like 6 or 7 o'clock, and it was like pitch black. Like that was the time I'd say on average we were usually there till like 4 in the morning or so.
I'd say you get 6 to 8 hours, and then when the house is rocking, we don't leave. So,
Yeah.
I think the closest was almost dawn at the Main Street Grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 4:30.
The mill was a lot.
The Mill was a 2-night episode because it was so expansive.
Yeah.
It was huge and stuff just kept happening and
So we had to go back.
yeah,
So then,
and we want to go back again.
so we had 6 locations that we went to, but there were 7 episodes in season 1 because the Mills was a 2-part episode.
pays for it? Oh, sorry.
As a lot of it's coming out of private funding.
Yeah.
We're hoping to, we sell T-shirts. You know, if you guys want that, we're hoping to get some more funding up for the next season. But I know a lot of this, with a lot of web series, especially where Karen was talking about it yesterday. You'll see in Maine, you have to foot the bill yourself. If you want to make a dream happen, you just have to do it. And so I think that with us, a lot of that comes true, and we're willing to do it because we want to make this.
We
But
have
that's,
a-
Take donations.
we do take
I'm
donations.
not gonna say
that.
no. Yeah.
And so you got a question?
I did a tour a few years ago, bus tour in Salem, Massachusetts, and just down the street, I don't know if you know Salem at all, but there's a hotel called the Hawthorne.
Yes.
Just down the street from the Hawthorne and across, there's an old hotel, I'm not even sure if it's still a hotel, but it's considered to be the third most haunted place in America with what you would consider to be level 8, level 9 kind of experience.
Okay.
Have you explored places like that yourself?
Me personally, I've gone to places like that. I haven't gone to that one in particular. But what we're doing right now is that we're really focusing on Maine. We want to keep this local for as long as we can. And I think that's just the dream Ash had when we started.
Right, but, you know, it can always become Haunt Us, Haunt USA.
Yeah.
And on the world.
Yeah, there you
Haunt
go.
you, Haunt Universe.
So yeah, we have ideas in the future because we want to keep this going for as long as possible. I'm
Yeah.
having a great time, and I know people I'm working with are enjoying it.
But we're
too,
not
so.
out of main locations yet, so we're not gonna
Yeah.
stray yet.
It's still rich, so we still got places to go.
There's lots.
And we know that a lot of you guys probably have stories to share too with us, so we would always take that into account if you guys have, want to shoot us a line. We have our business information up here.
Facebook.
We'd love to come out. We'd love to do an episode.
Who's the most skittish amongst all of you?
We all have different jobs, different abilities, different skills. I mean, we have our more scientific members for sure, and then, you know, from the thing we saw that there's more metaphysical members.
Carol.
Carol?
No, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know, I don't want
Charlie.
to talk badly about anyone.
No.
Honestly, I'd say our tech crew. I'm gonna go with the tech crew.
Yeah.
that's
They're,
true.
they're there too, and you don't see them because
Right.
they're holding the cameras, they're manning the cameras. And there have been a couple instances, like our head cameraman, Charlie, has had voices. I mean, they're not immune. Just because they're
Right.
they're there doesn't mean that they're not gonna be touched because they're not on camera, you know, and stuff
That's
happens
some
to
of our
them.
standards
Yeah.
to begin with, so.
I find that some of the most skeptical people are the most scared.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest and say that because when they can't explain it, it's way more terrifying.
Do you want to share the Krista example? She's
Yeah,
pretty good about
okay.
herself, so.
We have one of our tech crew members, Krista, was one of the most skeptical people I've ever met. She's one of those that says, just because you say it happened, it didn't happen, I don't believe it. You know, she's just.
She could see anything we just showed you guys, and
She would have an
explain it
explanation
away.
for it. So anyway, she was at the Main Street Grill with us in Standish, the restaurant, and before the investigation even started, she was sitting at a table, and she, you know, is helping us film some stuff, and all of a sudden, she jumps up from the table and says, something just brushed against my leg. And there was nobody near her, and there was nothing there, but she said it felt like an animal. And so actually, when I talked to the man who owns that place, I told him that story. He said, was that in the front room on the first floor? And I said, yes. He's like, there is a ghost cat in that room. And so I told Krista that, and she had no explanation for it, and she turned
Yeah.
white. She was just not
What
okay.
she told me, which is kind of funny, is she came running out of the room crying, and I was like, what's going on? And she goes, well, I thought Chris was rubbing my leg, her boyfriend. I thought Chris was rubbing my leg, and I turned around, and he wasn't sitting next to me. So there's that.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff. So I would put anyone in that type of situation. So any other questions that you guys might want to send our way?
Have you ever heard of anyone going out of their way to make a place haunted?
To make it haunted,
Like-
you mean like opening a gateway?
Or do
Yeah,
you
or
mean like
something.
people that are like
No, not-
faking evidence?
Yeah, not tricks, just like, making weird things go somewhere where they weren't before.
So you're talking about on this slide of Ouija boards and stuff like that, and not making evidence.
Yeah, something like that.
I
Dramatic.
not in my travels because that's real dangerous. I mean, I would not recommend going into a place that already has some mojo bumping and try to open up a gateway. And no, especially for our group, one of my standpoints is we go, we document what's there, and we move on. I wouldn't want to bring something across that I couldn't send away.
Also, I mean, you're sort of there to like help the people that are, letting you come into their home or place and to open it anyway and then be like, bye, is like a terrible thing to do. That's awful.
Yeah, you can't hire a maid to go clean that up.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to do that.
What are your goals for, obviously talking about this staying in Maine as long as you can, but your future, are you hoping to, that it goes on, that you can go to maybe New England and then?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah. I mean, we're happy in Maine right now. I mean, we're all from Maine. Every single person on our team is either born in Maine or has lived in Maine for the majority of their life. And I think we all feel it's like close to our hearts. And so we would stay here as long as we could and then maybe eventually continue. I mean, I would love to investigate all of it and still keep that Maine spirit alive with it, though, somehow.
Definitely. Black man.
Is there one place that like each of you have always wanted to go explore that you haven't?
I think that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that,
Paviglia.
Yeah.
That's where I would want to go.
I want to go to a
What is it?
castle in like Scotland or England, personally.
Ash wants to go to a castle in Scotland or England. I think the three of us, after Sean showed me this place, it's called Paviglia Island. It's off the coast of Italy and it's called the Island of Bones, I believe.
They used to
It's,
send people with, like,
it was
plague victims.
plague victims, criminals, just people who weren't valued in society for hundreds of years were sent to Paviglia Island. And the legend is that the hospitals and buildings there are actually up to their ashes because when you're on the island, when they would pass away from the plague, they'd burn them and leave them. So it's reportedly one of the most insane places in the world. So much so that the Italian government has closed it down to travel.
And the fishermen won't even bring their boats near it.
There's I guess it would be like an unofficial blockade near it. You have to basically bribe people to go there. And when to that effect, I think Ghost Adventures was the episode I saw. No problem. They had to pay a local fisherman to drop them off before sunset, and then he came back after dawn because there's so much lore attached to this place that no one wants to go near it. But I do. So.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just was wondering if you were going to explain the equipment we have on the table.
Sure. Well, this is just a regular recorder. We all carry a recorder when we go ghost hunting. And then we have to listen to ourselves. So, and try to.
Yeah.
We do get it's difficult because without the visual aid with it, in my experience, what you need to do is call anything that might be you. So
Right.
there's a lot of stomach gurgles, which
Yeah.
sounds like demonic moans.
Right.
So you
You have to be really, what I meant by that when I said we have to listen to ourselves, you have to be really conscious of all the noise that you're making. If you say something, you have to be like, that was me. If you scuff your shoe on the floor, that was my shoe. You have to just call everything.
So-
And, yeah.
along the lines, it's when a baby girl is singing a lullaby to you, and no one's like, "Hey, Katie, is that you?"
Yeah.
And
And and we kind of all know each other's voices pretty well by now. And usually, if we find something, we're not like, oh, that's definitely a ghost. We're like, everybody listen to this. Who is this? And then if nobody is like, that's me, then we're like, that might be something then.
And with our technology too, our especially the program I use, when you look at it, it'll be a different wave file. It's a human voice, and then underneath it, there's other. So when you see those waves come up, to brace yourself.
Yeah. So we didn't find any EVPs in that particular episode, but there definitely are some in episodes to come. This is just a thermometer. Sometimes, you can check for drafts, you can check for just weird changes that can't be accounted for anything in the environment around you. This is fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fun.
This is a laser grid.
Thanks.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a little bit like you're in a video game, and so what you can do is you can just leave it like pointing down a hallway, toward like a dark corner of the room, and then if anything breaks one of the grids, and you'll know because you can't see anything in the dark, so that way we'll be able to tell if something goes by. Yeah. Do you want to explain?
Yeah. Want to hold it up? Okay, so this is a spirit box. It's kind of contested right now in the field, but what it does theoretically, yeah, go for it.
It's going to be really loud and obnoxious for just a second, so you're
Is,
right.
is the little key on the side of the power
I
button?
don't know if there's batteries in it actually, because they drive fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll see it in one of our episodes.
A couple, yeah. What it does is, there's a theory that ghosts need energy to manifest. that whether that be heat energy, you know, from us, battery drain we get a lot on investigations, or white noise. It's thought that spirits can manipulate that white noise in order to manifest themselves in spoken tone. What this, the ghost box did, I first used it on an investigation with John Zaffis, who's a demonologist from that tours around New England, and he worked with me with it, and it scans through frequencies as fast as possible on the AM network. It basically throws out garbage and static. What happens, besides giving you a minor headache while you're using it, is you can ask questions if you're in an area where you think there might be something. So it's a little bit like fishing. So Ash will ask a question of, you know, how old are you? And it'll go through its static, silence, it'll go 16, and then keep going through the radio stations. It's hit or miss. It's hard sometimes because there are radio stations in there you can hear words. And so the first time we were using it, I think the group was, you know, kind of didn't really understand what was going on until we got our first actual blip when it just goes silent and there's a woman's voice on the other side having a conversation with us. So that is the type of evidence we get from it, and it you know, it works when it wants to, but it's really neat when it does. And then lastly is the standard K2 meter, which I guess you guys have probably seen a dozen times if you watched any ghost hunting show. Does anyone know what it does? Want to throw it up there?
Does it measure EMF?
It does. Awesome. The EMF field is electromagnetic energy. Spirits supposedly generate this energy. So what we do when we go into any room in any investigation is we always sweep it first. We want to know where there are wires in the walls, where appliances might be putting out energy. Yeah, it will spike up too, especially since, you know, if you get a feeling or like a claim that someone's having nightmares or feeling like they're being watched, it can be from an EMF field. So we'll go over by the bed. One investigation I did before this team, the woman was having crazy nightmares, couldn't sleep at night, and we went over to one of her lamps that was made in the 80s, and it was blasting out red, which just means cancer. So basically, what we do is we scan the room first to find out where the pockets are. We note those, and then we go back later. So if you're in a room that has no electromagnetic energy at all, maybe power's not even hooked up like in a lot of the mills, and you're getting bleeps on that, there's something with you.
Especially like sometimes it will follow us.
Even outside, like we've had experiences outside, which is really interesting. So.
And some of the best stuff that we got that you'll see in future episodes is the call and response, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
You can use it as a yes/no. Link it for yes, leave it for no. Or as Katie does in one episode that you guys will see, ask it to get up to a certain color energy level. So they have to put out that much energy when you ask it, which is really rare, but we nailed it on one of the episodes, so it's pretty cool.
That means, because there are a couple different types of like haunts. There's like residual haunt. Basically that means that whatever's there isn't aware that there's people there. It might not even be aware they're dead. They're just going about what they're doing, and that is not, they're not really interacting with us, if that's the case. Then there's also an intelligent haunt, which means that the ghost can reply to you that way.
Definitely. So those are our 5 main ghost hunting equipment things that we use. Also, for the tech crew, they film in the dark. So we have IR cameras that are stationed throughout the episode that Nix helps us place strategically around our investigation. And then we have 2 mobiles, which Linda right here in the front row, her son is our main cameraman, and so he comes out with us, and again, to speak to our tech team that moves around with us. We're hunting in the dark. We have flashlights sometimes, but we're looking for stuff. They have cameras up to their face, walking backwards in the dark. So
They are some of the bravest people.
Exactly.
They follow us to some weird places.
Exactly, walking backwards down the stairs when there's a threat of being pushed down. So
Yeah.
it's incredible. But yeah, great question. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I have a
Do
question.
you mind if I grab the puzzle back?
Sorry, I can wait.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, I just was wondering, I don't know if you know it, there's an app, like a phone app called Ghost Radar.
Right.
I'm just wondering what it is, cause like can't possibly be a thing, but a friend of mine has it on her phone and thinks it's like totally legit and is totally creeped out by it.
Don't take away her thunder because she's probably loving it. But I don't think the iPhone is equipped with any of the stuff that you see here. I went on an investigation with just someone who wanted to come along once, and they brought that. It leaps out randomly, and there's another thing called, I think it's called the Oracle. I can't remember what it is, but it when it hits an EMF pocket, it'll generate a word on your iPhone. And so randomly throughout the night, it would say, underpants, grass.
Sometimes you're like,
Then it would say fire, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!"
you died in a fire?
It died of fire! Yeah, so, I mean, we use this because it's worked for us, we know it works. Not to discount anything that comes out of the Apple Store, but I wouldn't.
It's fun, but I wouldn't use it for anything serious.
Yeah. Your question?
Did you have the laser field thing in the first episode? Because I noticed there was a cat that was totally chilling and not paying
Yeah.
attention.
No.
The cat.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, the cat would have been really excited about that. But yeah, no, we didn't have that. I think we got it for the second episode.
Yeah.
No.
So when is it air again?
Karen?
On the 19th of November.
Yeah, that's when the network is launching, and unfortunately we're out of time, but we'd love to speak with you guys out in the hallway if you want. Thank you so much.